So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and today we have a fun one, an unboxing and review of the Nothing Phone 3A and 3A Pro. Now, Nothing did send this out for review, so shout outs to Nothing for sending this out. And you're not going to get this massive box that is showcasing the new periscope camera. You'll see it right there. And the new rounded design, which is definitely going to be a little bit different. Some people may love it, some people may not. But definitely they have the regular 3A for those of you who don't prefer that design. But opening up, you're going to see right here, we do have ourselves the brand new Nothing Phone 3A and the Nothing Phone 3A Pro. And just like last year, Nothing is continuing their pretty nice boxes. You'll see we do have like the whole phone design on the back. Last year we had the dual camera, and this year it's all going to be about the triple cameras that are happening on both of these products. You'll see right here, we now do have an improvement to the camera on the 3A. And as the main box showed, you'll see we are going to have an improvement here, a massive one here, with a telephoto lens that upgrades to periscope. So this one's going to give you telephoto, this one's going to give you periscope, which is going to give you even further zoom. So this is a big deal for those of you in the mid-range space who do want a little bit more and demand a little bit more from your camera. Let's continue on. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and begin with the Nothing Phone 3A. Now, this one right here is going to be the lower option of the two, but they're not very different in terms of most of their specs, just mostly the camera. That's why I'm going to do both in the same video. Now, you'll see I did go with, or they did send me out the 12 gig, 256 gig model. You can also get this in 8 gig of RAM. I think it's for the Indian market. And you'll see over here that this is definitely just going to have IMEI stuff, which I did cross out for obvious reasons. But you'll see right here, very nice box. It shows the screws, it shows the glyph interface there. They have the whole camera on the front. It's just a different looking box compared to other phones, although not too different from last year. It's still kind of similar, showcasing a whole product picture across the entire thing. Now, if we go ahead and open up here, when you do get your phone, there will be a pull tab right there. So you'll just pull that. Then you'll just pull this up, and then it'll just kind of like slide right up out of there. And so let's go ahead and file this off to the side really quickly here. We'll file that off to the side. And you'll see they also kind of engraved the actual camera right there in the box. They did that last year as well with the dual camera setup on the Nothing Phone 2A. So just see all the way down to the box, the experience is just different for Nothing. So if you go ahead and open this up, it'll say, "Welcome to Nothing." You can go ahead and pause and read that for yourself right about now. And welcome back. You'll see over here we do have ourselves the volume up, volume down. It will showcase SIM card, USB-C, and it'll tell you to pull right here to power on right there. And then we also have the new essential key, which we'll talk about later in this video. If we go ahead and pull the phone out, you'll see here is the Nothing Phone 3A. So let's go ahead and just kind of like slide this up out of here. And you'll see, starting with the first one, we now have a triple camera setup. You'll see a little bit of red right there. You can kind of see the whole back. You can see the screws right here, Nothing right there. It will say that Nothing Technologies from London, England. Let's get a little bit closer. You'll see right there. It is housed in a plastic frame, but I am digging the new camera setup, 3-camera setup. And it's just clean, minimalistic, and pretty nice looking as well. Very different looking from most of the phones out there. Although Nothing's been doing these very unique designs for a while, but compared to other phones, it just looks different. You'll see right here, USB-C to USB-C, no charger in the box, which I'm not a huge fan of, but at least we have a cable. And then you'll see right here, we do have a SIM card tool in there, as well as some warranty information and stuff of that sort. So not much else in the box. I will say though, if you were wondering, they are pre-installed with screen protectors, although no cases in the box, so you'll have to order your own case. And let's go ahead and get this one powered up. Now, I did actually power this thing up and get these set up before the video just to speed things up. But the first impressions on this phone is that it is bigger. It's definitely bigger, a little bit less rounded in the corners, but still rounded. So it's comfortable, but bigger. At 6.77 inches now. And you'll see we do have the essential key right there. And we also do have ourselves the power button right there. This is still like the Stormtrooper color. Right here you can see the white frame with the black buttons. I quite like that. You'll see bezels are a little bit more noticeable in this space. This isn't the flagship range. We'll maybe see reduced bezels on Nothing Phone 3 if we see that this year. You'll see front camera, and I'm just guessing. We don't even have any information on that yet. You'll see right here, SIM card tray, and both of these do support eSIM now, which is a nice change. You'll see right there we do have our speaker grill, and if we take it off to the back, you'll see the camera definitely fills out that space a little bit more, I think, than last year's Nothing Phone 2A, which I'll show you here in a minute. Let me go ahead and show you that. So you can see we had the 2A right here, which looks like two eyes last year, but still cool. You also see the different design patterns at the bottom. They're a little bit different for sure. That red is a little bit more vibrant right there. You can definitely see it's a lot clearer looking. So I do like the 3A's look. It looks a little bit more translucent than last year, which looks a little cheaper if I'm being honest. So this one definitely feels more premium, looks a little bit more premium. Now let's get on to the 3A Pro. This one is actually a bit bigger. The box itself is actually a bit bigger. So 12 gigs of RAM, and there's still 8 gigabytes of RAM on the top level iPhones. Ain't that something? You'll see right here, they also engraved the camera. You see the new periscope lens right there. They engraved the whole setup right here on this phone as well. So sticking to the whole in sync, everything very clean and in sync with each other. They're doing a really good job at keeping everything very cohesive. You'll see once again, probably the same message right there. And again, I did open this one up as well. I'm just going to open them up before the video to speed things up. You'll see USB-C right here, SIM card, volume rocker. It'll tell you essential key. And here is going to be the more polarizing of the two. The phone that more people are probably interested in seeing, as it is going to have the big change to the back. And there is the big camera bump. It's a circle, but in order to get like a periscope lens inside the body, this is what has to happen sometimes. You have to get this camera. Now, the trade-off is that it is a little bit less ergonomic, but it's definitely still a pretty nice camera upgrade from last year's Nothing Phone 2A Plus. So if you were looking for like this kind of look, but you wanted a much better camera, this is going to be the year for you. Now, I kind of like how the Nothing logo on the 2A Plus was like inside of this shiny area. It's a little bit less easy to see on the newer phone, but still kind of retaining a similar overall look with a little bit more shininess because there's more space to put it there, versus now we have the shininess more in this area, up in here and up in here in the camera, but the glyph lights remain in pretty similar locations, although there is a little bit of a change in the design there. They're kind of keeping things pretty similar, but definitely looking still different from last year. So I like how they're making changes. This phone definitely don't look like the 2A Plus. It just looks like it's sticking with a similar like overall, aesthetic on the back, just very new versus that one over there. So I'm liking these two phones. They're actually quite nice for mid-rangers. On the right side, you'll see you do have yourself a power button here. You do have yourself the essential key, and that's pretty shiny right there. Plastic frame around here, so it's going to kind of feel similar, although nothing feels creaky. Nothing feels not durable on here. It feels nice. I will say I've been reviewing these phones for a while. The essential key is easy to accidentally press, so you're going to have to, get used to that. But once you get used to the feel, it does have a little bit of a groove. You can feel it. It feels different than the power button, but you're still going to have to get used to it because it's still in a similar location. I actually like where the essential key is. I kind of wish the essential key was higher because I'm actually going to use the power button more. So I would think Nothing should probably bring the power button down, move the essential key up a little bit, because I'm not going to use the essential key as much as I'm going to use the power button. You'll see over here, silver buttons on the left, and let me know what you like better. This gray version of the Nothing Phone 3A Pro, or the Panda Stormtrooper, whatever you want to call it, of the 3A. Which one are you digging more in terms of the look, the color? Which one are you going to order? Let me know down below in the comments. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and talk about some of the key specs that matter between both of these. Now, both of these do have the Snapdragon 7S Gen 3. So they're both going to be very nice in the performance department. These both do offer up a really nice change from the MediaTek chips from before. So when they first booted up and I first set these phones up, they were a little bit choppy when everything was getting warmed up. But once that happened, everything is super smooth. I'm actually very surprised about how good these perform. You'll see they're both clocked at the same speed because Nothing did put the same CPU in both of them. Of course, with both of them being 12 gigabytes of RAM, you shouldn't expect any different performance between either. So you're not going with the 3A Pro for next level performance. They both have the same performance. You're going for it for the better camera setup. So you will get the same, 8 megapixel on the back on the third camera, which is going to be the ultra wide. But for the main 50 megapixel and the periscope, you're going to get 50 megapixel over here. This one's going to give you 50 megapixel telephoto on the left. So that's the real big difference. They both are coming with Nothing Phone OS 3.1, and this is going to give you Android 15 along with a lot of the newer Nothing Phone features along with some of the AI stuff. So it's a lot more clean, a lot nicer with the widget setup. We'll show a little bit more of that later in the software. But you'll see both of them come with 5,000 milliamp hour batteries. They both have 6.77 inch flexible AMOLED displays, so they're up a little bit over last year. Not massive, but still a little bit bigger. And you'll see 12 gigs of RAM plus 2 gigabytes booster. So overall, these phones are well equipped to handle everything you throw at them day to day. Spec-wise, they're absolutely great. There's some other key specs that aren't really mentioned in the About section of these phones that you won't even really notice until you start using them. But both of them do have really decent flicker rates. So if you have an issue with PWM and stuff like that, these aren't really bad at all. They do have actually 2160 PWM frequency. So they're going to not really give you those headaches and stuff like that. They can also hit 3000 nits of peak brightness. Now that's going to be with HDR with 1300 nits outdoors. And I did test this in pure sunlight and I was able to see it pretty easily. Not quite as good as flagship level phones, but these aren't flagship level phones. And they also get 800 nits typical. So that's actually pretty darn good. 800 nits is what a flagship phone would have been maybe 3 years ago. So it's still flagship level brightness. Now, one of the things about these displays though is that they're both 1080p. So if you do bring them really close to your face, you are going to notice they're not quite as sharp as some of the more top tier flagships. They're at 387 pixels per inch, but you got to be pixel peeping. Some of the more flagship level phones are over 500 ppi, so they will look a little bit less tack sharp up close. But they're cheaper than flagship phones, so you can't really expect 500 plus. They got to make cuts somewhere, and I think that's a good one because a lot of flagship phones these days already ship with the default standard at 1080 because most people don't even really need that extra 2K resolution. So it's not a deal breaker whatsoever, but just keep in mind 387 ppi is where you're at, and it's 1080 on both of these, 2392 on the other side to be exact. IP64 dust and water resistance is on board here as well. Now both the Nothing Phone 3A here has an in-display fingerprint sensor, as does the Nothing Phone 3A Pro. So that's how you're going to be unlocking these. They can do face unlock, but of course it's going to not be quite as secure as what you'll find on more top level phones. But I do like the fact that we even have this, and I kind of like how it looks. That's a really nice looking little simple minimal circle. It just looks different. I quite like it, honestly. Even though it's not like overly over the top, it still looks kind of nice. Now, these phones do offer up 3 years of software support. Now, that's going to be major software updates, 4 years of security. So you're looking at about 4 years of usage with this phone. That's not bad for a mid-range phone. And Nothing does bring smart updates to their phone, meaning they bring things that actually matter, like constant camera improvements. They listen to the community issues with certain bugs and things of that sort, and they try to bring things that actually enhance the user experience. This company is really big on the user experience, the software, and making sure things run smoothly. That's what they're all about here, while also giving you something that's not quite boring looking on the rear, not the same old every year. I mean, even though these kind of have a similar translucent look, I mean, look at the difference in the camera. It's huge. Even from last year, look at this camera versus last year, and look at the overall shape and design. They've even changed the back design. So that looks different, and it's also bigger. So that's one thing I really like about this brand right here. They definitely do mix things up. It definitely isn't that boring to see these phones. Actually, they're kind of exciting to see what Nothing brings every time. I'm kind of excited to see the next top tier version of Nothing Phone as well. All right, so we talked about the key specifications. We discussed a bit about the display. Let's look at the software. So I do have the Nothing pack on. You can go to customization here And you could change wallpapers, of course, but go to the icon pack and default will show you the typical Android colored icons. So if you're wondering, why are those icons all like plain and white? Well, that's the Nothing icon pack. I kind of like that. You can also kind of like turn them on or off like in the app drawer. So you can have them turned on right here like this, or you can just go back to customization and then hit icon pack and then turn them off. And then you could have them match the home screen, which to me is more cohesive. And it kind of makes every single icon look the same color, which is nice because, you know, some apps you can do icon packs, but then you get this issue where they don't all have the same theming. So if I go into here and I click the three dot menu up here on the right, in this Nothing OS, you'll see the Smart Beta categorizes your applications. So you can also go back to the default list if you like this. I tend to prefer the new categorization. I think it's a little cleaner. I actually kind of like this a little bit more, just simply because it makes it a little bit easier on the mind when you're going in here like, oh, okay, my stuff is in social or my stuff is in news and reading. And I get there might be some comparisons to a specific software, but I just like the way this looks in here. It looks very clean. Also up in here, you'll have recent apps, and you could turn those recent apps off if you would like. If you don't like those recent apps being up here, it'll be called app suggestions, and those can go away if those bother you. Going into settings over here, we'll actually take a look at them here now on the 3A Pro. They do have same software. So up here, you're going to find yourself a bunch of settings, including things like dark mode, night shift, glyph timers. You'll see over here, if we click the settings, there'll be more down here, including things like camera access, color corrections, NFC, and the list goes on. You also have a Chat GPT section you can include up there. And then if we scroll through, you'll see a little bit more. Brightness toggle is right here, quite nice. And in addition to that, if I hold down here, I do have to say they do have some quite nice wallpapers. So if you click more wallpapers, you have a wallpaper studio where you can use AI to customize wallpapers. But the Nothing wallpapers are quite a nice pack. They're pretty simplistic and they're quite nice. They do add a nice flair to your home screen, if you ask me. Also, if you want some simple color options, you have those as well down below. No major issues. And if we hit this right here, you can also customize the app grid and stuff of that sort. So plenty of customization for your liking. Also, they do have some nice widgets as well. You'll see right here, we do have the Chat GPT widget, which is a great way to integrate AI. I actually have it right there. You can just quickly go right here and start Chat GPTing away, if you will. If we go over here and we hit widgets, you'll see clock, camera. You also see countdown, dates, media players, and stuff for Nothing X, stuff for, you know, the Nothing Ear. You'll see over here screen time, weather, and everything just very clean and cohesive. I do like how the software kind of matches with the vibe of the phone, and then the wallpapers and the icon packs. I mean, it's just a really, it just looks good. Everything just kind of matches up so nicely. So if we go inside here and we scroll down, you'll see some more for the glyph interface, some more software in there. And again, this stuff is going to be the same on both phones, some privacy features, more customization we talked about earlier, apps, notifications, battery. You can also see a charging assistant right here, and you can also see your maximum capacity and how many times you cycled this phone. So you can see I'm just now reviewing it, so I didn't really cycle it at all yet, but you'll see the battery percentage and the adaptive battery, which is still learning my usage, but I'm not going to be too shocked about this. This phone has a 5,000 milliamp hour, so it's already draining very slow, which is a very good thing. You have some accessibility features in here. Most of these you'll find on other Android phones as well, but it's nice that they're here as well. And then you go down here to special features. You can try out some experimental features like support for AirPods, glyph progress. You can see the dot matrix tile as well. You'll see the RAM booster. You can go up to 8 gigabytes there. On some gestures, if we scroll down, there's even more gestures to play around with. You can go back to a 3-button navigation, and circle to search is also here on this software as well. So there you go. You got another AI feature there with Google Circle to search. And then if I go down to over here, you can power off verify. You can also clone apps. You have the app locker if you want to use that. And then if we go down, you have some tips and feedback about how to use the phone. It's not overbearing. It's not too much. It's simple. It's fast. It's clean. It's just nice. Also over here, we have the essential key. And if I click that, this will capture screen content as well as recordings if you hold it down to record. And then in the essential space, you'll see things that'll store a memory of the things you've been capturing. So it's a nice AI feature that will, kind of like categorize, summarize things that you're seeing right here. And overall, it's just a nice place to kind of like gather all the information and keep like all your stuff in one space, like a single brain right here in this Essential app. But it is in beta. You will have to sign in with your Nothing account up here and enroll. So you're basically, by enrolling, you are going to be helping Nothing by sharing your data. So be careful about what you put in there if you don't want privacy. You don't want your things being seen, because they're going to be using some of the data in here to improve this product right here, this software. So don't, personal private stuff, I would always recommend on anything when you're using stuff like this to keep that personal. But for just general stuff you're doing, like news articles or saving, some quick notes, some easy stuff, you might as well throw it in there and go ahead and have all of this consolidated into one brain. So I do really like how they're at least trying something new. I definitely really do like the software here. I think it's one of the cleanest out there right now, honestly. It might not be the most exciting if you want an overbearing amount of features, but that's not what you buy this phone for. You buy it for the glyph interface. You buy it for its clean, minimal look. And it just kind of puts the things there that you need. It doesn't overdo it. So that's quite good. That's my take on the software so far. I think it's been pretty excellent. I will say ergonomically, of these two, I have not been really enjoying the camera bump for holding this phone. It's kind of like, I feel like I'm always touching it, or like my hands, like, I don't know, I just want to like take it off like a lens sometimes. But holding it, I find I have to place my finger like in one spot to kind of like get comfortable. So I'm going to definitely have to buy a case for this phone for more comfort. Although these phones don't really feel like they need cases, because the backs, the plastic feel to them. I know the back could probably give you some issues if you dropped it really hard, but the frame, it just feels like I don't want to use a case. It's already a big phone, but definitely when you place it on a table, this one's going to lean up. You probably can't see it right now, but if I do that, it's rocking. This one much more flat on the table. As a matter of fact, there is no rock. So if you want the more aesthetically pleasing phone, it's probably going to be, I just bumped them. It's probably going to be the Nothing Phone 3. It's got a more traditional camera set up right there. It doesn't have any rock on the table. It's lighter. It doesn't get in the way. I much prefer to hold this one. Although I will say last year's Nothing Phone 2A and the 2A Plus felt a little nicer in the hand in terms of the feel. They were lighter. They feel a little lighter, smaller, a little bit easier to hold. So do keep in mind, if you do this upgrade, you are coming to a larger phone. I mean, you're looking for upgrades, you're getting them in camera, but you are getting them in the size as well. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the camera, and you'll see it'll tell you if there's dirt on the lens detected. The picture might not turn out quite as good. And we'll take a photo there. We'll take one there. And then when we punch in, it also has a pretty good zoom. Now, both of these phones actually do have really good regular zoom, because they both have zoom cameras. So you don't really sacrifice too much with the Nothing Phone 3A, but if you want that extra reach, you're definitely sacrificing here. But immediately what I'm noticing is just like the photos just look more sharp. They're just way nicer than they used to look. So this is the year to upgrade to Nothing Phone if you want better overall quality. However, you're still capped at 4K 30 on the rear. So no 4K 60 here, no 8K, nothing like that. But I would assume that that's going to be enough for you at this price range. In addition, we do have expert modes over here, so you can go ahead and use those. Portrait modes are also improved. You can do face retouching as well. You do have a night mode. And overall, this camera setup is just pretty simple, just like the rest of the phone. If you click down over there, you'll see exposure. You can change that. You can also change different quality. You can do 50 megapixels or 12 megapixels to save space. You can put the grid lines on. In addition, you also have these different modes right here within the camera: the original, the soft focus, black and white film, wide angle shot, and lenticular. So these different photo modes should help you get a little bit more creative. And in general, I just kind of find this camera to be a really nice upgrade over last year. Now, the front-facing camera, not going to be my favorite on the Nothing Phone 3A. This is 32 megapixels. It's sharper from the megapixel standpoint than some other phones out there. However, the actual results to me do look kind of mid-range, but they're acceptable. They just don't look flagship. So we shouldn't expect that, though. This isn't flagship. At the same time, I think these phones are more about the rear camera upgrades. If they wanted to improve something, they could get a better front-facing camera and also add 4K 60. Even if it's not the best 4K 60, I understand to get to this price, we got to make cuts. But still, we can probably see 4K 60 even at this price range. So when we open up the camera here on the Nothing Phone 3A Pro, you are going to see yourself a little bit more zoom. We got 6 times here, but it's not just there. That zoom camera is just sharper, period, over the 3A. There's nothing else to say. It's periscope. Also, 10 times zoom right there. And then you go 30 times. I mean, you can really get up in there. In addition, 60x. This one's going to cap out at 30. So think of these as like not like top tier flagship zooming phones, but like mid-range top zooming phones. So if you were to take like a top zooming flagship phone and you made it like medium, like not like low zoom, but somewhere in between that and a pretty far zoom, but you're not going quite 100 or 200 times zoom, that's going to be this phone right here, the Nothing Phone 3A Pro. So sacrifices aren't huge. But having the Pro in the name on this one and still not giving me 4K 60, I don't like that. I do want to see that improved on the next model. Maybe the 4A will get that. But if we go over here to more, you'll see Expert. And we'll go over here to Portrait. That's improved. Also has the same face retouching modes. You have the macro mode on here, which I didn't see on the 3A. So let's go over here and we'll open this up. Was the macro mode available? No, I didn't see the macro mode. So this one has the more dedicated macro stuff going on due to the periscope lens. And overall, if you just want a little bit more than what that phone over there on the left can offer, that's going to be the 3A Pro. But you are sacrificing some ergonomics for it though. So you better actually want to use those features, or else you're kind of just going to pay a little bit more. And you're also not going to really benefit too much if you're not actually using the camera. So only get the 3A Pro if you're actually going to take advantage of the periscope zoom. And when it comes to video, these phones actually do have some EIS as well as OIS combined to give you some very stable video. I immediately noticed that when I was doing my video. In addition, well, I do talk a lot about the zoom being the main reason to go with the 3A Pro. Both of these do benefit from the fact that you do actually have the ability to squeeze more into the frame now than you did before on the ultra wide. So they are going to give you a little bit better clarity as well with the photos, which is something I definitely noticed. However, the only thing that I do notice is still can do some work is the actual furthest zoom on both can use a little work on the noise. It's still there at the furthest zoom, even in good lighting. So that's the only issue I have there. Now, battery life is going to be kind of the same on both of them because they do have the same chip, the same size battery. Here's some front-facing video with the Nothing 3A Pro. You can see this is at 4K at 30, so we're not gonna get up to 4K 60 on this device here, as this is not a top-tier flagship, but it's still pretty acceptable. It's pretty close to my face, so I gotta extend my arm. You got a shorter arm, you're gonna be pretty close to the camera, but if you like that effect, you'll like this. Overall, I think they could do better on the front-facing camera, maybe make it a little bit wider angle. In addition to that, improve it to 4K at 60. Even if it's not the best sensor, still I think we could see 4K 60 at this price point. So this is some video footage with the Nothing Phone 3A Pro. You can see Nothing really did a good job at upgrading the overall camera quality on the 3A Pro, including having better video quality on the zoom as well as on photography for zoom. And also with their frequent updates and focus on improvements, we are seeing better overall quality from even this mid-ranger 3A Pro. Definitely going to be a little bit better here, especially on zoom over the standard 3A. So Nothing is claiming that this phone can last 44 hours on voice calls. So if you are just making calls, that's going to be 44 hours. 21 hours of music playback, so just listen to music. In addition, this battery right here also should give you about 26 hours of YouTube videos. And you are looking at about 24 hours of Instagram usage, 10 hours of gaming. This one also can charge from 1 to 100% in 56 minutes via the USB-C cable right here. In addition, 1 to 50 in 19 minutes. A 10-minute charge will get you 28% battery, and a 30-minute charge will get you 72% battery. So pretty nice battery for these devices right here for sure. And they both do have decent speaker grills. I tried them out. They're pretty loud for what they are. Of course, they're not booming like the best of the best, but they're definitely very acceptable for these phones. All right, guys, so let's wrap up the review here on the 3A series. Which one to pick? The Nothing Phone 3A. This one's going to be for the person who likes the traditional Nothing Phone look. They like the simple camera layout. They definitely want triple camera, but they don't want this big camera bump right here. In addition, they do like a large display, 6.77 inches. They want really good performance for this price point. And they're willing to live with some of the compromises like no 4K 60. And they're okay with not having a flagship processor because they like the software enhancements and everything that Nothing is doing right now. So this is definitely a really nice steal of a deal. Of course, the bezels are a little more noticeable on this lighter color because you have a light colored frame. But at the end of the day, once you slap a case on, you'll barely even notice. The Nothing Phone 3A offers incredible value, I would say, for sure. Now, Pro is for that person who wants, of course, this steel look. This thing is sick. The way it looks is just different. So if you like this more metal parts look, this gray is going to be the way to go. Also, for the person who wants a little bit more, they demand the best of the best from this series, but they also don't want to go way up in the price, but they do want to go way up in the zoom. This one is for you. It's also going to be bigger weight, so it feels a little heftier. It feels a little more premium because of the heft. But you're okay with sacrificing this camera bump being a little bit less comfortable to hold the phone. You might like that it kind of sits up on an angle, kind of feels like it's on a little kickstand like that. But it's really the color options, the periscope zoom. Both of them have great battery, and that's the person who would probably want to pick the 3A Pro. They want the best mid-ranger that Nothing can offer right now. So in conclusion, I think Nothing has another hit on their hand. Last year, I thought they knocked it out of the park with the Nothing Phone 2A. I mean, in this space, this is a very competitive space. You got to do something different, and they're definitely doing something different in this space. And you could see the upgrades are, actually, let's put these on the other side. The upgrades are definitely noticeable. You're going to better cameras, bigger displays, better software, more software years of support. They're definitely headed in the right direction. And I do think that it's going to take a particular person to want to pick one of these up. They're going to have to like Android. They're going to like simpler versions of Android. And they're going to want something that just feels different from everything out there without paying a lot of money. Definitely got a hit on their hands. So let me know your thoughts. Which one are you going to pick? The Nothing Phone 3A or the 3A Pro? Thumbs up if you enjoyed the review. Subscribe if you haven't already. And shout outs to Nothing for sending these out. I'm very grateful that they were able to send these out so I can get an early look at them. And I think they're pretty awesome. I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.